Welcome to the Practice Playbook podcast, your go-to resource for legal professionals, mediators, and entrepreneurial experts building modern, profitable, and purpose-driven businesses. I'm your host, Susan Guthrie, attorney, mediator, and #1 best-selling author with over 35 years of experience. I'm a former chair of the ABA section of dispute resolution, and I've helped thousands of professionals build practices they love through my books, coaching, and training programs. Each week, I'll bring you real-world strategies, mindset shifts, and behind-the-scenes insights to help you grow with clarity, confidence, and impact. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about profitability, and not in that simplistic make more money, spend less money way that gets tossed around a little too easily these days. So for this episode, my guest is Darren Wurz. Darren is the founder of the Lawyer Millionaire. Love the name. Darren is a fiduciary financial planner, and he works exclusively with law firm owners, helping them bridge the gap between running a successful practice and actually building lasting wealth. What makes Darren's perspective so compelling is his path. He didn't come up through traditional finance sales. He started as a teacher, driven by a genuine commitment to helping people grow, and that mindset carries through everything he does today. Through his work with professionals across the country, Darren saw a pattern that will sound very familiar to many of you. Talented, driven professionals bringing in good revenue, but still struggling with cash flow, taxes, long-term planning, and the question of what all that hard work is really building toward. So he built something that didn't exist, a flat fee advisory firm designed specifically for law firm owners, combining business strategy, tax smart planning, and personal financial coaching. In this conversation today, we will dig into what profitability really means, why growing a firm can actually reduce profit if you're not careful, and the practical systems that help professionals keep more of what they earn while building businesses that support the lives they want. So let's dive in. Well, Darren, I'm so glad you're here. I have been looking forward to this conversation. Everyone wants to know the secret to profitability. So let's dive in. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Susan, it's great to be here. You know, profit is our theme this year. We're really excited about it. We're honing in on it all year. And I've learned that there's so much more to it than just making more than what you spend.
Well, you probably knew that ahead of time since you are a certified financial planner and, working with so many lawyers to become the millionaire lawyer, right? Love that name. This focus on profitability, I was really interested in that idea of focusing on it over a period of time because it's interesting. I work with so many professionals who are looking for something different in their practice. And it can be a lot of different things, right? You know this. It could be more free time, better work quality, different kinds of cases. But almost always attached to that is the need to make money or the desire to make more money. So
Kind of important.
profitability, yeah, exactly. It's an underlying thread to any
Yeah,
practice.
absolutely. I think the inspiration here was just my own journey. What's interesting and unique about us, I am a certified financial planner. Thank you for mentioning that. And that's the main work that we do. We work with law firm owners, but we help them both with their personal lives and their personal finances and investing and planning, but also with their business and helping
Yeah.
them grow their business. This is part of our community. We started this community last year, started a book club. And last year we were kind of bouncing around between different books, and I thought, well, let's have a theme, and let's go all in, let's deep dive, on a topic. And it really came from my own journey because in my own journey, what I have found is that it's easy to grow your business, but reduce your profitability accidentally.
Uh-oh.
And, you know,
Talk about unintended consequences.
exactly. So many business owners, we're so focused on top line revenue and we want to grow, we're ambitious, we're entrepreneurial. And that top line number is what we see, and it's what we see all over the place in social media, right? Seven-figure firm, eight-figure firm, et cetera. And that's all great, but what really matters at the end of the day is how much is left over and how much are we actually keeping, both for ourselves and for our team.
I mean, it really does come down to profitability is different than gross revenue in a really material way.
It sure is, and we've seen it so many times in firms that we work with. They're so focused on growth, it often comes at the expense of profitability. And, it's okay to spend money in your firm, but we wanna make sure we're spending money smartly and intelligently. We could go all in on this, but there's so many ways to waste money as a business owner.
Oh, the internet makes it so easy, right? I mean, just go through Instagram or LinkedIn and they're like, "And why don't you buy
Yeah.
this for only 49.99?"
Yeah, and part of it is like, conference culture as well. Like we go to conferences and it's easy, you fly to a place and you're rubbing shoulders with people and you feel like you're, being very productive because you're doing something and you're getting great pictures for your social media. But is it really productive, right? Is it a productive market spend? Is it a productive dollar spend for us in our businesses? Digital advertising is another. It's so easy to waste money in digital advertising. Everything works to a degree, but the question we need to ask ourselves is, what is the ROI here? Am I getting really what I need from this? I don't know, Susan, maybe you've said this to yourself. Let me know. I've said this to myself. I've said, well, a new marketing venture or, something I want to spend money on. If I just get one client from this, it'll pay for itself.
Yeah, oh, sure. We have all said that. If I wear it 12 times, it's practically free. It's I do it with clothing, but same thing.
There you go. There you go. So it's about making smarter decisions. So we've broken it down into four pieces and we've come up with four main pillars of profitability. Many of your listeners may be familiar with the book Profit First, and so that's what we started with is having structure. It's really important to have structure, and because profit is as much about finance and numbers as it is about human behavior and psychology. In the personal finance world, we talk about money scripts, right, and how those
Yeah.
impact our our behaviors, right? Money is not purely logical. There's a very large emotional component, and many of the decisions we make don't make sense because they're impacted by these underlying beliefs. Well, if your money scripts can impact you on a personal financial level, if you're a business owner, they can definitely impact you in terms of your business as well. And so, having a structure in terms of how you flow cash through your business and prioritizing setting aside money as profit on the front end instead of waiting for it to be something that's left over can sort of help force you to have more discipline in how you handle the money. So that's step 1 is the structure.
I love that because it reminds me of sort of that concept of my brother and sister-in-law did this with their kids. They would, you give them $50 for their birthday when they're little kids. And my brother and sister-in-law would make them put, a certain percentage in their savings account, a certain percentage they would give to a charity or donate to something. And then what was left, they were allowed to
Yeah.
spend on something that they wanted. And you're kind of doing that. You're sort of setting the profitability at the top
Mhm.
rather
Mhm.
than having it be a a final product of whatever your choices are along the way. You're sort of
Yeah.
making you choose your profitability ahead of time rather than have it be a byproduct of the choices you make on spending.
100%, and this is really, the save first.
Yeah.
It's been, a principle of good behavior, good, personal financial management for, for a long, long time. is that you save on the front end versus on the back end, because if you save on the back end, there won't be anything left over. It's the reason that 401ks are so powerful in terms of helping people build wealth. When we don't actually see the money, when it gets deducted from payroll, we don't even have to, it gets taken off the top before we have to pay for groceries and the mortgage and everything else. Then we don't miss it because it's already
Right.
not there, so that can be very, very powerful.
It's interesting. I read that sort of concept, God, it has to be probably 15, 20 years ago. And it said, just set up an automatic withdrawal out of your account and put it into an account that's hard to get to, right?
Yeah.
I opened up an online account that you had to go online and I didn't get statements or whatever. So I set up and it was just $100 a month, but I just wanted to see what would happen. And then
Yeah.
I promptly forgot about it, which I know this is not good financial planning, but I found it like 10 years later and it had a
Yeah.
nice chunk of change in it. So
Yes.
it was your maybe you don't want as a business owner to be that out of sight, out of mind. But you're right, right? I didn't miss the money or I would have noticed
Yeah.
that it was going and it was going in there. So I like that. But you also say the psychology of money. And I
Mhm.
really think that, as a divorce attorney in my former life, I can tell you there's a lot of psychology around money.
Oh,
That's
big time.
one of the leading causes for divorce is money. But for business people, I don't know that they really recognize the psychological impact of money in their practice itself. So if you could say a little more.
We can borrow some concepts from the world of dieting. Dieting is
Yeah.
such a struggle for people. My husband is a physician associate, and he works with a lot of clients that are trying to lose weight. And one of the things he'll tell them is just use a smaller plate, right? When it comes time for dinner or time to eat, don't use a big plate, because when you use a big plate, you want to fill it up. And when the plate's full, I don't know, my mother told me to clean my plate when I was
Clean
young.
your plate.
So
Yeah.
so that's what we learn. And the same thing applies to our bank accounts, which is why, one of the principles of profit first is taking your cash flow and you're separating it into smaller sub accounts. It's the small plates concept, right? So instead of seeing one big number, we're going to see smaller numbers, right? We have an operating expense account, we have a taxes account, we have an owner's comp account, we have a profit account. Now we want to take the tax account and the profit account and hide them somewhere, right? Different bank, somewhere else. It's
My
almost,
same theory, but a little
yeah,
more practical. Yeah.
100%. You did something very, very smart without knowing.
Yeah.
um, it's a way of kind of tricking ourselves into almost feeling like we have less money than we actually have. There's actually a similar phenomenon that occurs related to the stock market, and it's called the wealth effect. When the stock market goes up, people tend to spend more.
Even though they don't have that money.
Even though they really don't have more income, they feel wealthier. And when you feel wealthier, you tend to spend more money. So we almost have to
Yeah.
make ourselves feel poor.
So we're better off if we make ourselves feel poor.
Yes, in a way, yes.
Yeah, we'll spend less. Yeah, but I can see that, and it's really interesting here to be talking about this. And I would imagine, I work a lot with solopreneurs or small firm
Yeah,
entrepreneurs, and I can imagine a lot of them thinking that this is a completely different way of looking at the
yeah.
finances because they are really dealing with the day to day, trying to just make sure all the bills are paid. But this idea of setting aside profit off the top and then making your finances sort of work with what you have left
Mhm.
is the way that you build that wealth.
100%. And it even starts simpler than that. It starts with separating your personal and business finances.
Not too many solopreneurs do that.
We have to start there. And let me tell you something. If you've been trying to grow your business and you've been hustling and you've been really grinding it out and you find yourself still kind of struggling to get to that level of profitability you really want to get to and even revenue, the best thing you can do for yourself is not to go get more clients, but to immediately separate the business and personal money. Put a firewall between the two. And it doesn't seem like it's like, well, how is that going to really help me make more money? But I'm telling you, because I have seen this over and over again, when you do take that step, it gives you such incredible clarity in terms of your business and in terms of your personal finances that you will just automatically start to make better decisions, start to be more effective, start to have less stress. It automatically facilitates a healthy growing business. I don't know how, a lot of it is psychological, but that step is so foundational and so powerfully transformative. If you haven't done that yet, that's the single most powerful thing that you can do right now
So
to
step
to
one,
yes.
step one, everyone, put up the firewall.
Yes.
So, and it goes back to that psychology and the systems you were talking about as a pillar. What's the next pillar?
The next pillar is the science of profit,
Oh,
and, the book we're reading is Simple Numbers by Greg Crabtree, and he goes into the mathematics of it all and talking about the mathematics of profit and taxes and owners' compensation and, labor efficiency, when's the right time to start hiring? What does that look like? There's a lot there, but I think the biggest message that a lot of people need to hear is that you need to be paying yourself a market wage. You as the owner, many law firm owners are operating and other types of business owners are operating like this, right? They are paying themselves when there's money in the business, or they're taking money from the business when they have a major personal expense, or they're throwing money back into the business from their personal accounts because the business is running low. We've got to fix that. And fixing that is extremely powerful. That's part of building that wall of separation.
right.
You know,
There's
so
that firewall.
yep. So you figure out, what do I need to pay myself? And then you start paying yourself a regular, automatic monthly amount. Then on the business side, you anticipate this expense. Oh, I've got to pay Darren because he's my top employee.
Good old
That's me,
Darren.
right?
Yeah.
And so you have this expense. It's a line item. I've got to pay this. And it becomes just part of your regular. It might be a little bit tough at first to get used to, but once you kind of acclimate to it, it's just part of the normal routine. But then the real power, and this is what I love as a financial planner, is on the personal side, when you have a regular stable flow of income into your personal accounts, you can now start to pay off debt. You can now start to invest and start to grow your wealth, which is what we really want to be able to do, right?
Right. And you're able to do it because you've put up that firewall.
Exactly.
And, I like that concept of treating yourself like an employee because most s- entrepreneurs are exactly that. It's feast or
Yes.
famine. If there's money in the bucket at the end, that
Mhm.
might be money we get. And if there's no money in the bucket, we're shoveling it in there to
Yeah.
to make ends meet. So I would imagine for people who have been in that situation, and a lot of people, starting a new practice or trying to move their practice to a higher level, find themselves in that position where they
Oh,
need
yeah.
to dig into almost their personal finances to do it. So this probably sounds a little scary, going back to the psychology that we were talking about a minute
Yeah.
ago, of basically treating yourself as an employee.
Exactly. And it might be a little bit scary, but you don't have to start huge. You just start somewhere, right? Even if you're not able, like, let's say you need to be making X from your business. Yeah, that seems a little scary. So we can start a little bit lower. We can work our way up there to where we're paying ourselves a consistent amount. And this is where having the right cash flow system first will feed into this. Because once you have that profit first system set up, you're already setting aside money in that owner's compensation bucket. Now we can start to really pay ourselves on a regular basis.
Right. So that systems part where we started, that really is a key to sort of everything. It's
Yep.
kind of the foundational step,
Yes.
sounds like. If you don't do that, you may find, yeah, I'm going to pay myself, but there's nothing there in
It
the
would be
owner's
hard.
compensation account
Yes.
to pay you
Yeah,
with. Yeah.
absolutely.
So where do we go from the science?
Okay, now this is where it gets really fun.
Oh, good.
Third
Because that
pillar.
actually didn't sound like a lot of fun. The numbers and the crunching and yeah.
Yeah, totally understand that. The third pillar is teamwork. So now we've got the system, we understand the science of profit. How do we get the team involved in profitability? Because
Mm.
profitability isn't all about you as the owner, although you're an important part. But what's the right way to get everybody incentivized in growing profitability? And how do we incentivize? How do we reward the team for profitability? So, a great resource for this, we're reading the book, The Great Game of Business by Jack Stack.
Uh-huh.
And it's all about this concept. We're going to set a profitability goal and we're going to get everybody in line, everybody aligned with meeting that goal. So part of it is educating the team and helping the team understand their role in profitability, their role in delivering financial results. Basically, you take the profit and loss statement and you make that your big annual goals. It's easy to get lost in the sea of KPIs. There's
Yeah.
oodles and oodles of them that you can have, but we need to it needs to be super, super stupid simple because simplicity drives clarity. When
Mhm.
we have too many things we're shooting for, too many goals, it gets muddy and it gets messy. And so Jack Stack's basic idea is make profit your goal. Okay. So as a company, we have a company-wide profit goal. And everybody understands how their efforts line up in reaching this goal. Like, so if you are a planner in my business, I'm going to educate you that the way you help us as a business become more profitable, getting more referrals from existing clients and retaining the clients that we have. And all of that is driven by great customer service.
Yeah.
So we will know we're doing a great job for our clients if they're sending us more clients and they're sticking around. Oh, and by the way, those are the things that drive financial results.
This is an episode we've done. The client experience is definitely
Yeah,
a huge part. I mean, at our core, we are service providers. Never forget the client
100%.
experience.
So then let's make that part of our team-wide mission,
Yeah.
and let's track our profitability throughout the year as a team. And part of this is the concept of open book management.
Oh, okay. You've got some business owners out there going, whoa, 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 whoa. What does that mean?
So open book management means opening up the books and letting everybody know what the numbers are. And that's really scary to a lot of entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of law firm owners, a lot of other business owners. Like, I don't know. I don't think I want my team to know how much we're making.
I bet you hear that a lot when you bring up this concept.
Uh-huh. It can be really scary. But let me tell you something. The biggest companies in the world are open book management. Apple is run on open book management. It has to because it's a public company.
Right.
All the numbers are public information. It might feel a little bit scary to let your employees know how much you're making as the owner, but guess what? That's psychology. There's something that's telling you that there's some shame. There's nothing to be ashamed about. As an owner, you should be taking 25 to 30% home as the owner, and that's perfectly normal. And by the way, you need to be taking home that much money. Let me tell you why. Because your business needs really healthy margins. You, as the owner, are responsible for creating stability for your employees. You're giving them a place that they can come and work so that they can take care of their families. That's a huge, enormous responsibility. And so, yes, you need really wide, healthy margins. You need to be making a ton of money so that you can protect the business.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
there's no
and you
shame
are the main rainmaker too, right?
as well. Yes. So there's no shame in that. The bigger thing is, though, you can get the team really excited about driving financial results. So you can set a profitability goal and then you can set a bonus structure that's tied to that.
I
And you can
was
say,
waiting for that. That's what I
yeah,
was waiting to hear. The incentivization, right?
exactly. There's a variety of ways you could do it. It could be a percentage of pay. It could be a flat dollar amount. You could say, hey, if we hit our percentage goals at the end of this quarter, everyone's getting an extra 5% of pay. That's tremendously motivating, right? Yeah. So, tying that all together, helping people understand how the work that they do ties directly into the profitability results, and then giving them ownership over that process and rewarding them for that process.
What I think is really key in what you said is also giving them the tools that help them then help drive that profitability, right? Like that
Mhm.
the specific asks, like more referrals,
Yeah.
taking really good care, and then supporting that. Here's another thing you do as the owner. You then
Yeah.
provide the training, the onboarding, the resources, and everything that people need to then do that well for people.
Let me tell you something that's a little bit hard as an owner. This is a great step because you, as the owner, don't always make the best decisions.
What?
And sometimes it can be really, really, really helpful to have your team help you make those decisions. Let me give you an example. I'm this way because and I think a lot of visionaries are this way. We're quick starts. We tend to jump into things. We see something shiny and new, and we're like, oh, let's try that. Let's sign up for that AI software. That looks really, really neat. But if you message the team and you tell the team you've created this storyline that we're all about profitability and you're going to reward them based on profitability, instead of just jumping for it and putting it on your business credit card, you're going to come to the team. You're going to say, hey, team, what do you guys think about this? And you're going to get some pushback. And they're going to say, no, I don't think you should spend $10,000 on that thing because that's going to mean $10,000 less in profit. And that might hurt our profitability goals. And then we're not going to get bonuses. But on the other hand, if they can see that it's definitely worth it because the ROI is there. So it's really, really can be really, really helpful to get the team involved in helping you make some of these decisions.
Well, it's almost the voice on your shoulder, right? A
Yeah.
little bit instead of because you're right. I happen to be one of those owners that, the shiny penny. I've been called a crow at times, right? Like where you like to fill your nest with all the shiny objects.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously you used AI as the example. And one thing that we know is the vast majority of law firms that have gone out and spent literally millions of dollars on their own AIs aren't using them, like literally aren't using them. They've spent the money because they went for the shiny penny that they heard they needed to have, but they had no plan in
Yeah.
place for using it. So I can absolutely see that. I think of all the steps that you've talked about, this will probably be the one that will feel like the biggest leap for
Yeah. It's a
a
big
lot of
jump.
people. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I
It
say that without knowing what fourth pillar is, but right
well,
now pillar 3 feels like the furthest leap.
let me kind of maybe help dispel some of the fear, right?
Great.
Your employees already make an assumption about how much money you make.
Mhm. True.
They already kind of know how much money the business brings in. They're already making assumptions. And if you don't give them clarity, they may assume the worst, right? So, open book management, it might seem like it's really scary, but they already have their own ideas. And
Uh-huh.
so what you're doing is you're dispelling myths, you're helping them really understand the way a business functions and the way a business needs to function. In fact, they may actually think you make way more than you actually do, right?
Yeah.
And bring them into the inner circle and letting them know, no, actually, we spend $100,000 a year on software. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So I think it can be really, really helpful. It can actually help your team trust you more. It can dispel a lot of bad feelings, and it can boost morale incredibly.
Well, it really leads into the term you're using, which is your team,
Yeah.
because it's really what makes you a team instead of being just a bunch of people who happen to work in the same place.
Yes.
Right? You're all rowing in the same direction. People, whether they go home on the dot of 5 or stay the extra half hour because they need to finish that thing up for that client because they told
Yeah.
they'd get, all those little decisions that trickle down at the end of the day. Team players who are fully invested in the team. So I've always been, it goes to, and I've seen this at play so many different times in my career over the years, but the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset,
Sure. Yeah.
being able to incentivize others, so that everybody has a reason to be there and to do their best, and there's enough to go around, has always made a
Yeah.
major difference when I've seen it
Definitely.
in play.
Yep. Yep. It's huge.
Yeah. So where do we go with our fourth pillar?
The fourth one is protecting the profits.
No, don't spend them. I learned that on the top.
That's part of it. We kind of already alluded to this one in the previous step. One of the biggest threats to profitability is as the owners, our thinking and our decision making. And we have to understand, especially as our businesses grow and we take on more and more responsibility, and there are more people who depend on us, we need to be very, very good strategic decision makers. And so the book we're reading in the fourth quarter is The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham.
Love the name.
Keith's main message is, as a business owner, you need structured thinking time to think critically about major decisions in your business. As business owners, we tend to jump into things. We tend to maybe make quick decisions. And so he lays out a whole framework called the core disciplines of thinking. And it's really a lost art, thinking. We don't do this in modern society. We're running from one thing to the next. We have 5 minutes to spend thinking about something, right? You
Yeah.
know, or we're using AI to think about things, and we're just putting prompts into ChatGPT and letting ChatGPT guide us. So he advocates for having dedicated time where you do not have any distractions, where you're not on your computer, where you are literally sitting and just thinking about an issue or thinking in generally about your business. And he gives a lot. So the way the book is laid out is really cool because it's not a sequential book. Each chapter is kind of a standalone on a different topic and a different dilemma
Okay.
that many business owners face. And so yeah, that's the main idea is let's stop making quick decisions. Let's slow down and let's think very carefully through all of the second order consequences that we don't always think about. It can be very easy to jump into things in our businesses, to spend money, without really thinking through the domino effects of everything that will happen. And it really comes full circle because in Profit First, Mike Michalowicz talks about this when he talks about the survivor trap, the survival trap.
Hmm.
The survival trap is this idea, right? You're in point A, and point A is a place of crisis, right? Maybe you need to make more money, maybe your profitability is low, you're really trying to grow. You want to get to point B. There are a lot of ways you can get out of crisis. There are a lot of ways you could make some quick money. You could add a practice area. You could add a service line. You could change
Right.
up your business. But a lot of those different things you could do are taking you further and further away from your ultimate vision. A lot of times when we're facing a problem in our business, we go immediately to tactics,
Yep.
right? What can I do to
Band-Aid.
fix this?
Yep.
Right? I need more clients. Okay, what can I do? Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to be on Instagram. I need to be running ads. I need to fly to this conference. Let's slow down and think strategically. What is the real problem underneath, right? Turns out there are a lot of ways you can make more money in your business. Let's think through all of those. Are we charging enough for our current business, right? Are we being truly efficient in how we're delivering our service? Are there ways we could save money there? And so it's really, I think all your listeners would really enjoy the book. The core message being we need to really get down to the root of the problem and think strategically versus running to activities. And when we when we make a decision, when we're faced with a dilemma, think through all of the domino effects of that decision before we
Mhm.
jump into something new.
I love the way that this first of all, that title for that book, if I had seen it on a shelf at the airport as I was walking
Yeah,
through, I'd be
yeah,
picking that up. That's brilliant. Talk about a clickbaity title, right? That one would work for me. But
absolutely.
I love the critical thinking
Mhm.
aspect of not taking the first Band-Aid that solves the solution or holds the pieces together,
Yeah.
and the way that I think your description was really apt for it. Yes, you could add new service areas, you could hire another attorney or dispute resolution professional into your firm to bring in more cases, but is it, that you're being efficient with your time? Is it that, are you looking at the things that you're already doing? Where can you tweak? Because especially, I will say, in law, and maybe it's because I've always been in the legal field or legal adjacent, but it's a field where people tend to get very stuck in a repetitive system of, but this is the way we've always done it.
Mm, mhm.
And so that critical analysis of what you are doing
Yeah.
doesn't actually happen very often.
No,
And
it doesn't.
I would hesitate to, or I wouldn't hesitate to say it probably happens even less often around money because nobody likes to talk or think about money.
Yeah, oh boy, it can be anything, like, let me give you an example. In our business, we decided to, we do investment management for folks, and we decided we were gonna try a new custodial platform, and we decided that we liked it, and we wanted to start to move clients to this new platform. Well, we got into it. It was a huge project, and we were like, "Oh boy, we really should have thought this one through." So many things like that can happen. Just think, I bet your listeners have said this, maybe you've said this to yourself, "I should have thought that one through," or, we've all had that moment, or, a great exercise. Keith asked this question in the book. He says, if you could undo your biggest, I forget what number, but let's just say your biggest 3 business mistakes, how much more money would you have right now?
Oh, that's a painful
Ow.
exercise, perhaps. Yeah. Ow. I was going to say there might be people out there having that same. Certainly, those law firms that have spent millions of dollars on AI systems that they're not using
Yeah,
might be looking at that, especially as we are in the year-end profitability
yeah,
analysis time period as this episode. Well, those 4 pillars, most people, I think, when they tuned into an episode about profitability, thought it would be a dollars and cents
yeah,
breakdown of bring more money in, spend less, you end up with more. It's kind of like, to go back to the losing weight, right?
yeah,
Exercise more, burn more calories, eat less, and you'll lose weight. This is a much more well thought out and complete sort of analysis of it.
yeah,
Obviously, you go much deeper in this. And I do want to make sure that people, let's take a little time to talk about what you do in the millionaire lawyer and in your community, because that's, I mean, as you mentioned, you're reading these 4 books over a year. So
yeah.
tell us more about what, yeah, not in a 45-minute podcast. So
It is funny because I find that, lawyers and legal professionals tend to be fast readers. So when we first designed this, it felt like a manageable pace. But I came across a lawyer had a LinkedIn post. He said, I read such and such book yesterday. And I was like, what? Wait.
we learned it
But
in law school. Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. But I find that it's a nice pace. We're going really deep into these topics with not just like what are the ideas, but then how do we implement this, right? What does this really look like? And so each month we have a master class that we do. They're usually the fourth Thursday of every month throughout the year. Any lawyers or legal professionals adjacent who or dispute resolution
Sure.
professionals who want to be a
Yeah.
part of what we're doing are welcome to join. Our community is free to join. You can find us at community.lawyermillionaire.com. And we don't charge anything for it because I love to do it, and it's a great way for us to for people to get to know us, and network. It's a great way for us to build our network and help others build their networks as well, and help us get our name out there. We don't charge anything for it. It's just a good time.
Labor of love.
Yeah, yet maybe one day we
Yeah.
will. Yeah.
Yeah. When you need to up that profitability. No, I'm just
Exactly, exactly.
Well, but also if you would explain what it is that you do at the Lawyer Millionaire, because I think
Yeah.
that you've created something that is outside the what you're a first to market, I think, in what you do. So let's share that with everyone.
So our mission is to help law firm owners and legal business owners grow their businesses and their wealth. I was for many years a very traditional financial advisor, started to really hone in and niche down to legal business owners and found that they needed a whole team of people because they need help with tax planning, they need help with cash flow, they really need help with their business too. And so what we did is we created a whole team of professionals to help legal business owners across everything. And as we've been talking on this show, your personal finances and your business finances are so connected. you know, you need all those players. And so we have a program where we give you the whole team. You get a business advisor, you get a financial planner, and you get a CPA all in one team to help you do everything. Right. And so you don't have to coordinate between multiple advisors. The value is that your advisors can coordinate amongst each other, and we can brainstorm on your behalf and really help you across your entire financial picture and help you make sure that you're making progress towards your real life goals, right? We want to grow the business, we want to grow the wealth, so that what? So that you can have more money for your family and, enjoy more time freedom, all of the great things that you really truly want at the end of the day. So I think it's really cool what we've built. We also operate on a completely flat fee basis, so there's no investment fees or anything like that. That way we're accessible to you no matter what the size of your portfolio is. You get all of the services, or we can customize a package for you based on what you really need and are looking for.
So great. And you're right. Like building that wealth, what are you building it for? It's really tied in. Nobody's
Yeah,
looking to, get a final number on their tombstone. Stone. Like Susan died with a net worth of, right?
right.
That's not what we're aiming for. So, and it goes back to the team. Right. I'm a huge fan and just having worked in a variety of different fields, but always I approach divorce when I'm,
Yeah,
worked with my clients as divorce. I always thought we had to have a financial a person involved. I thought we had to have a therapist involved. I thought we had
yeah.
to have, I mean, working with a team is always the best. So I love the innovative mindset that comes up with sees a need and comes up with what's needed. And you've done that.
It's so powerful. On our last weekly team meeting, my lead planner and my lead business advisor were talking about how they had a powwow together and were discussing one particular client situation. And I was like, I freaking love this.
Ah, right? It's like,
I love the
yay.
collaboration. It's
Yeah.
just it's amazing. Yeah.
Well, and you did that. So
Yeah.
you created that, and that's amazing. Well, this is a lot of food for thought for my listeners, guys. I will link to all the books, but also to all of Darren's because I want to also mention he has the Lawyer Millionaire podcast. So be
Yep.
sure that you go check it out. There's a lot of resources on the website. In fact, you have your book available, The Lawyer Millionaire. There's
Yeah.
some continuity here to his marketing.
Yes. Definitely.
You know where to find them. I'll have links to everything in the show notes. But I really so appreciate your joining us and really
Yeah.
bringing some innovative thinking to something that I think most people think they have a handle on, or that they don't want to, they don't even want to think about. I had
Right.
someone else say that to me the other day: "Is can we just not?" I had done a program on marketing for lawyers, and at the end of it, one person said, I just want to thank you for doing this because you talked about a bunch of stuff that I don't like to think about or do, but it seems more accessible now that you've talked about it.
Yeah.
I
When you
think you
can
just did that.
put some structure to it, it just becomes a lot less threatening. Yeah.
Yes. Some structure and some real understanding of why the
Yeah.
pillars that you're talking about work, right? You're great with
Yeah.
examples and just a really clear way of expressing things. So thanks so much for coming and joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. It's been a great pleasure being here with you.
Thanks so much. Loved this episode and this conversation with Darren. There's so much here that I want you all to be able to take with you. So before we wrap up, here are a few golden nuggets. First, profitability is not the same as revenue. A growing practice can still leave you stretched thin if you are not intentional about what you keep. Second, structure matters. Separating your business and personal finances, paying yourself consistently, and setting profit aside on purpose changes both your numbers and your decision making. Third, profitability is a team sport. When everyone on your team understands how their work connects to the bottom line, better decisions happen across the board. And finally, slow down to think. The most expensive mistakes come from rushed decisions, not from lack of effort. I personally feel that one to my core. I will jump on something that seems like a good idea and definitely want to put that pause and take a breath thought process into my practice. So I want to thank again Darren Wurz for joining me today and bringing such a clear, practical perspective to a topic that so many professionals struggle to navigate. You can find Darren and his work at thelawyermillionaire.com. And as always, I'll have links to everything we discussed in the show notes. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Practice Playbook podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the Practice Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you'd take a moment to leave a review, follow the show, or share it with a colleague who's ready to build the practice of their dreams. If you want more support and tools like the ones you heard today, join the waitlist for the Practice Accelerator, my brand new subscription program packed with resources to help you grow smarter. You can find the link in the show notes or visit susaneguthrie.com to learn more. Until next time, stay focused, stay intentional, and remember, success starts with the right playbook.